Will you spend your time following me or showing everyone how fast you are? We'll see, won't we? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banatari Jamuna Tira Banatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Radha Madhava Kunda Bihare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariva Jakacharya Sita Dashisham His Divine Grace Abhaicharan Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Charge Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Koda Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Nam Charge Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sesi Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Navadip Dham Ki Jagannath-puri Dham Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Bhakti Dev Ki Sambhita Bhakti Vinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Lord Nishingadev Prahlad Ki Gopremanandi. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the Summit devotees. All glories to the divine Litasita C. Guru and Gauranga. Krishna Sadamo Bhagate Damaganadi Bisaha Kalanda Sadashomesha Parano Konadodita Narayana Namaskritchandaram Shaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now, by my calculation, we are in the 6th canto, chapter 3, text 30. Correcto? Ah, very good. Tad Shamyatam Sa Bhagavan Purusha Parano Tat Shamyatam Sa Bhagavan Purusha Parano Narayana Sva Purusha Yad Asat Kritam Na Narayana Swapurusha Yad Asat Kritam Na Svanam Oho Na Vidusam Rachitanjalinam Svanam Mahona Vidusam Rachitanjalinam Shantir Kariyasi Nama Purushaya Bhumne Shantir. Hey, hold on. Shantir Garisya Namaha Purushaya Bhumne. Tad Shamyatan Sa Bhagavan Purusha Parano Narayana Sva Purushaya Rasat Kritam Na Svanamahona Vidusam Rachitanjalinam Shantir Gariyasi Nama Purushaya Bhumne. Okay. Tatsham yatam sa bhagavan purusha parano Narayana Swapurusha Yatasat Svanamahona Vidusam Rachitanjalinam Shantir Gariyasina Maha Prashahamne Tatsham yatam swa bhagavan purusha parano Narayana swa purusha yarasat kritam na Svanam maho navirusan janjalinam Shantir grahiyasi nama purusha. Vaishnavis? Tat Shamyatam Swabhagavan Purusha. Thank you. Shanta Gariya Sinama Purushaya Bhumne Tatsham Yatam Swabhagavan Purusha Parano Narayana Swapurushaya Rasatkritam Na Svanam Mohona Vidusam Rachitanjalinam Shantir Gari Yasinama Purusha Bhumne Tat that Shamyatam let it be excused Sa He Bhagavan the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purusha, the Supreme Person. Paranaha, the oldest. Narayana, Lord Narayana. Swapurushai, by his own servants. Yet, which? Asat, impudence. Kritam, performed. Na, of us. Svana, of my own men. Aho, alas. Na vidusam, not knowing. Rachita anjalinam, folding our hands together to beg your pardon. Shanti, forgiveness. Gariyasi, in the glories. Nama, respectful obeisances. Purushaya, unto the person. Bhumne, supreme and all-pervading. Then Yamaraj, considering himself and his servants to be offenders, spoke as follows, begging pardon from the Lord. O my Lord, my servants have surely committed a great offense by arresting a Vaishnav such as Ajamila. O Narayana, O supreme and oldest person, please forgive us. Excuse me. Because of our forgiveness, we failed to recognize Ajamila as a servant of your lordship, and thus we have certainly committed a great offense. Therefore, with folded hands, we beg your pardon. My Lord, since you are supremely merciful and are always full of good qualities, please pardon us. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. I'll say, you say. Then Yamaraj, considering himself and his servants to be offenders, spoke as follows, begging pardon from the Lord. O my Lord, my servants have surely committed a great offense by arresting a Vaishnav such as Ajamila. O Narayan, O supreme and oldest person, please forgive us. Because of our ignorance, we failed to recognize Ajamila as a servant of your lordship. And thus we have certainly committed a great offense. Therefore, with folded hands, we beg your pardon. My Lord, since you are supremely merciful and are always full of good qualities, please pardon us. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Lord Yamaraj took upon himself the responsibility for the offenses committed by his servants. If the servants of an establishment make a mistake, the establishment takes responsibility for it. Although Yamaraj is above offenses, his servants, practically with his permission, went to arrest Ajamila, which was a great offense. The Nyaya Shastras confirm, Pritya parade svamino danda. If a servant makes a mistake, the master is punishable because he's responsible for the offense. Taking this seriously, Yamaraj, along with his servants, prayed with folded hands to be excused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. Om Ganata Marantasya Gyanagana Salakaya Jokshu Shrimilitangena Tasrishi Gurave Namaha. Now, what time does the class usually go to? I picked my words carefully. Not, oh, Maharaj, as you like. What time does the class usually go to? 8, there, an honest... Yeah, an honest man. Thank you very much. Okay, we will duly note that. In your opinion? We'll sort it out. I appreciate the added purport, but we'll sort it out. So, here we have an indication of the heart of a Vaishnava. We know Yamaraj. People don't argue with Yamaraj. Prabhupada said, anyone here got a certificate from Yamaraj, even giving 5 extra minutes, So, and he's one of the Mahajans. So, he's Dharmaraj. And yet, how is he feeling? He's feeling, oh, my servants have committed an offense, it's falling on my head. He's feeling very humble, he's feeling very remorseful. So I was reflecting on my own condition, that certainly, who am I? Everyone in this world, well, not you, you're all saintly Vaishnavas, but the general population and fallen persons like me, the tendency is to be very proud. Prabhupada says it in such a nice British way. He says they're puffed up over borrowed plumes, Everybody's so proud in this world. Prabhupada tells a story. There's a tree, okay? Here's a tree. Here's a branch. The man is chopping wood. He's sitting here. He's cutting here. Saw. Everybody knows where this story's going, right? A friend of his says, hey, come on, you can't do it like that. You're going to fall on your head. The guy says, oh, you're a woodcutter? You went to wood chopping university? Run along, I know what I'm doing. Okay, all right. Now, of course, we all know what happens. He falls, he bumps his head. Next day, his friend sees him. Our foolish wood chopper's got a big bandage on his head. But he doesn't admit it. He says, to the friend who predicted, he said, oh, you must be a great astrologer. You can see the future. So everybody's so proud in this world. And it's such a burden to carry when you think about it. Because, who are we? Misery's caused by the living entities, misery is caused by the body and mind, misery is caused by material nature, adibautic, adidaivik, adiatmic, conditioned souls, a tendency to commit mistake, illusion, the 4 defects. So, we are, Prabhupada says in one purport, that the living entity is being kicked like a football. Like soccer, the ball's going this way, that way. So we're being kicked by the material nature like a football. And yet we're thinking, well. So here we see that freedom from pride. I was in Prabhupada's room one time. It's a long story, so I'll just tell the conclusion of the thing. Some man became very agitated and was actually shouting at Prabhupada, quite offensively. And big Brahmananda put his heavy hand, boom, on the guy's shoulder and says, I think you better leave now. And he, ejected the man. Everyone was shocked. This man is going to be born in the Himalayas, wandering like Ashwatthama for lifetimes, or living in Calcutta with no arms and legs, begging in the gutter. What will happen to this man? Prabhupada's response? Oh, I must have offended him in a previous life. Now he's come to take his revenge. Prabhupada was completely undisturbed by the whole thing. And as far as how would the man, Vaishnava Aparat, how will the man be saved? Everyone offered different proposals how the man would be saved, That he'd like I say, all this, born in Calcutta in the gutter, whatever it is, wandering in the Himalayas. After everyone had offered their opinion, Prabhupada spoke up. And Prabhupada says, well, we could always forgive him. Nobody had thought of that. Nobody had thought of, but Srila Prabhupada's pure Vaishnava heart, he's taking his revenge. I must have offended. Of course, there's no question of Prabhupada offending him in a previous life, but that was how a Vaishnava was seen. So in this way, Arjavam, one of the qualities of a Vaishnava is they're simple. What is it, not Yudhisthira Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, in his instructions on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, does anyone know, other than our Swamis here who are far more learned than me, does anyone know what Bhishma Dev said, how you learn to conquer anger? How does one conquer anger according to Bhishma Dev? One learns to forgive. If one learns to forgive, and we can see it in Prabhupada. So here we have, even though there was a minor offense on one hand, by Dharmaraj, of course the Yamadutas were doing their duty as they understood it. Still, they're feeling very humble. I was thinking that actually, because I did make a few notes, I asked Srila Prabhupada, this taking responsibility, somehow or other, there's a verse that keeps my sanity, what small amount remains. That's subject to debate, depending on those who know me. But whatever small degree of sanity remains, one thing that helps me is a lot. It's a short sutra. Bhavagrihi Janardanam. That Krishna knows what's in everyone's heart. He knows our mood. He knows our intent. He knows, So, we all commit so many mistakes, but we're sincerely trying to serve Krishna. And Krishna notes that. Krishna appreciates that. So I asked Prabhupada one time, but at the same time, because people don't like to accept responsibility. It's low self-esteem movement, and what will you think of me? And, I'm, whatever it is. There's so much pride and arrogance as I was talking. So it's a very difficult thing for people to take responsibility and say, I'm sorry, I'll regret, let me make amends. It's a big deal. Try it in America, man. Yeah, they'll shoot you before they'll say they're sorry. So I asked Prabhupada one time on a morning walk, I asked Srila Prabhupada, I was a young man once, let that be a lesson to all of you. I was a young man once, and I could not have been more than, I don't know, maybe 23, 24. I was just a boy, So I asked Srila Prabhupada, what does it mean to be one of your temple presidents? I think we had 6 or 7 devotees in the Ann Arbor, Michigan temple. We had a nice university. It was good preaching, but it was a small little temple. And I was feeling, I'm the temple president. So I asked, and I asked him, what does it mean to be one of your temple presidents? I thought that Srila Prabhupada was going to say, oh, you're one of my generals, on the front line, or you're one of my stalwarts. And I thought, in this way, my ego would get even more. You think I'm puffed up now? You should have seen me then. So I thought, even like a big chapati, whoof, Prabhupada stopped. He put his cane down. He sized me up. It was a moment of quiet. He actually sized me up. And Prabhupada said, because I asked him, what does it mean to be one of your temple presidents? And Prabhupada said, it means if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Which was great. Which was the actual situation. That wasn't, news you can use. That was legitimate, bona fide, good instruction, I'm responsible. Man up, as they say in America. Take responsibility, So here we see the most magnanimous Mahajan, Yamaraj, taking responsibility. So, And we don't have to be afraid that what will people think. Because like I was saying, Bhava Grihi Janardanam, Krishna knows. My experience is, generally speaking, devotees are sincere souls. I mean, we've got our fair share. They let me in the door somehow or other. But generally, we find that devotees are sincere souls. And Prabhupada tells a story. I'm a little off track, but that's not unusual. Well, I guess I'll say this first, because I want to, anyway, whatever. As far as being proud, Prabhupada saying even the pauper, that's how Prabhupada says it. He also says the borrowed plumes, but he says even a pauper is proud of his penny, So Tamal Krishna Maharaj told me this story. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, one of the heroes of our societies, passed away, but we're still benefiting from his, profound service. He was appointed, perhaps by Srila Prabhupada, maybe by Srila Prabhupada, as the temple commander for the Los Angeles temple. This is, I think, 1968, maybe 67. It was before he went to London, so you can do the math. So, and I think there was a total of maybe 35 devotees. It was probably the biggest temple in ISKCON. I'm trying to think, but probably the biggest. And he wasn't the temple president, he wasn't the temple treasurer, but he was the temple commander. So he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I have this very powerful position, this very, high-profile, important position. And I'm afraid it's going to give rise to pride, which will... It was good that he was asking. It shows his sincerity. So he said, I'm afraid that I'm going to get puffed up with this very important, powerful position, and how do I protect myself? And Prabhupada said, you think that in a portion of the spiritual world, Krishna expands as Mahavishnu and lies down. That becomes the Mahatattva material creation. He said, and then you think from Mahavishnu, from his breathing and his pores, so many unlimited universes, as many grains of sand there on the beach or stars in the sky are emanating out from the body of Mahavishnu. And then you think that Krishna expands again as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu in each of those little bubbles, the little universes. And we know that from his navel the lotus comes, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Brahma comes, Teni Brahma Hridaya, he creates all the planets. And then Prabhupada said, and in every planet there are so many continents. I mean, got it, so many universes, and it's all just one breath of Vishnu. So one breath of Mahavishnu, so many universes, every universe, so many planets, every planet, so many continents, every continent, so many nations, every nation, so many states, every state, so many districts, provinces, divisions, whatever you call it. And in every one of those, so many cities, every city, so many streets. This is Prabhupada was going on like this. Every street, so many buildings, every building, so many rooms. And one of those rooms is Tamal Krishna Das Brahmachari thinking, I'm very important. Tamal said it was great, stayed with him his whole life, So, certainly speaking for myself, if we think, I'm an insignificant jiva. Many of things in our philosophy are Chinta Bheda Bheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different. And Prabhupada, it's actually a profound measure of things. Prabhupada gave the example. Prabhupada said that one of the signs of intelligence is the ability to balance opposing points within the mind. They appear to be opposing, but you can balance them. You find what is the comprehensive overall essence of the thing, synthesis and essence of the thing. So, Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different, and we balance those within our mind to have a complete understanding of the absolute truth. So similarly, we feel very insignificant. We feel that I am a tiny jiva, being tossed like a football. So without the other side of the coin, it becomes low self-esteem, and I'm useless, and I can't do anything. It becomes crippling. But what is the other side, the opposite side? Sudam Prabhu told me this. He was walking with Prabhupada in the LA airport. And anyone who's gone through an airport with Srila Prabhupada, Some other time you ask me, I have so many airport stories, but the devotees would just take over the airport. Sprinkling rose water and flower petals and 15 Madanga kirtan and just too much. The whole place felt like it was lit up with effulgence. And Prabhupada sailing through in his transcendental air, Prabhupada had a way of just like a frigate ship at full sail. Prabhupada would just sail through transcendentally. So Sudam said to Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, when I'm with you, I feel proud. I feel a little pride that I'm a disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Is this a bad thing? Prabhupada said, no. Prabhupada said, you can think that by the grace of my Guru Maharaj, I am no longer a fool and a rascal. That we can think that Prabhupada said a Vaishnava knows what is what and who is who. So we have confidence. We are sailing. Bhagvatam gives the example that if I'm crossing on a forest path barefoot, very difficult, isn't it? So many rocks, so many sticks, so hard to traverse. But if I have shoes, I can pass very nicely. So it's Bhagavatam, shoes, feet, I understand, but the Bhagavatam example, Bhagavatam says that the shoes of knowledge, wisdom actually, can carry one across the path of life, all the difficulties in life. So we know that by the grace of my Guru Maharaj, I know who is who, I know what is what, I know what to do with the human form of life, I know how to actually help other people. So there should be a sublime, not an arrogance, but there should be a sublime confidence, satisfaction, peace of mind, and gratitude. There should be a gratitude that I have, by the grace of my Guru Maharaj, I'm no longer a fool and a rascal. So on one hand, devotees are meek and humble, and the other hand, they're very confident, very satisfied. And in that satisfied state, what are the devotees are Atmaram. Brahmabhuta prasanatma nasojite nakanchite. Because they're self-satisfied, they don't want anything. Prabhupada told the story, therefore I can quote it. And it's a story, we don't know, that's another thing. Alexander the Great, he did have a an historian who traveled with him, and many of the statements by Alexander, I forget the guy's name, starts with a T, but it was actually accurate. So anyway, Prabhupada quotes the story, Alexander the Great, he's coming down through the Hindu Kush down into the, Ganga plain. Alexander the Great conquered so many things. Of course, everything fell apart behind him, that's another story. So he came upon the ashram of one sadhu, one saintly person. His nice little ashram, his little hut, his little garden, his goshala, his brahmachari, everything very peaceful and nice. And he's out there, the sadhu, the head of the ashram, in the morning sun. He's getting a little morning sun, Ayurvedic, very healthy. So Alexander the Great was impressed by the aura and the presence of the man. He said, I am Alexander the Great, King of Macedonia, conqueror, a long, long title. What can I do for you? Let me do something for you. Sadhu looked up and said, you could move out of my sun. You follow? What can this fool do for me? I'm enjoying a little morning, so just move out of the way, And it was nice. It reduced him to his actual situation. So, because Vaishnavas are self-satisfied, we don't want anything from anybody. We're not trying to exploit or to take. I saw Prabhupada speak very heavily sometimes to people. When they were he could not, I told it yesterday, but Maharaj is a patient person. Hanumat Prashak Maharaj. I was in Detroit, I forget the year, I'm thinking 75, 76, something like that. And a man asked Srila Prabhupada, Indian gentleman, it was a darshan, maybe 20 devotees, Prabhupada sitting at a low desk. And the man asked, Swamiji, he put his hand out, can you read my palm? Prabhupada said, we don't do this. Prabhupada said, Yokashmam Vahamyaham, that, we depend on Krishna, the childlike innocence of bhakti. And so probably so many nice answers, When Prabhupada finished, it all bounced right off the man's bone head. And the man said, yes, Swamiji, but can you read my palm? Prabhupada said, all right, give me your hand. It was great. And Prabhupada was expert at everything. So the theatrics, Prabhupada clicked on the night light, took the man's hand. Prabhupada was studying very carefully. Then Prabhupada went, all bad. He said, birth, death, old age, and disease. And I swear to you, I thought the man was going to have a heart attack. The man was, because Prabhupada was so heavy, And then Prabhupada got a blissful Vaikuntha smile and said, but you clap your hands at Kirtan, all the lines go away. And the man got the point. They'd actually got through his thick head. He got the point, But, that's a gentle example, but Prabhupada could be very heavy, Well, just for fun. Bhakti Subdhamara, we're way off the track, but have you ever been to the Los Angeles temple? There's Prabhupada's garden. Now they've changed the design. It used to just be grass, nice grass, and then Prabhupada had a seat. And Prabhupada, so many people, the mayor of LA and different rich people and, big professors, they used to come and meet Prabhupada. It was great. So, and where the Prabhupada's garden is here, there's a building here, right? And as the brahmacharis, we used to lean out, there's a gift shop now, but we used to lean out the window because you could hear Prabhupada. You're leaning out the window, you're only like from here to Tapan Mishra Prabhu, actually, it says a straight line. You could hear Prabhupada. So Prabhupada would come and sit, transcendently regal, sublime, Vaikuntha man. So many so-called distinguished scholars, well-to-do people. And then you'd look up and hanging out of the brahmachari window like a bunch of monkeys. There'd be like 30 brahmacharis leaning out the windows. Somebody would be holding on the back of your dhoti so you didn't fall out. We'd take turns so So after some days, Keshava Prabhu, a former Hell's Angel, you didn't mess with him. He was the temple commander. And he told us, this is ridiculous. Prabhupada's such a dignified person and delivering such an important message to these sophisticated people, and you guys are hanging out the window like a bunch of monkeys. It's embarrassing, So you have to stop. So we were heartbroken, but, he made a point. On one hand, we thought, yeah, it's true. We don't want to, impede Prabhupada's preaching, and, So, next day, Prabhupada comes, sits down. UCLA professors, we'll get into it in a second. Professors are all sitting there. No devotees in the window. Prabhupada looks up, turns to Keshava, says, where are the brahmacharis? Prabhupada said, go and get them. Prabhupada wanted us to hear, he was training us. He was, teaching his disciples how you preach to these people. How to do it. It was fantastic. We were in such happiness. We all came there. They were all back in the window. So, now I have to set it up a little bit. Evidently, earlier in the morning, on Prabhupada's morning walk, now Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, I think he'd finished his PhD. He was at UCI. Maybe he'd finished, you know better than I, at University of California, Irvine. Either he was finishing or had just finished. But he was a young man. He couldn't have been more than, 26, 20. He looked like a Kumara, so who knows. Anyway, he was definitely a young man, definitely under 30. And he'd been on the morning walk, and Prabhupada had asked him, what if someone claims to be a teacher but doesn't teach? What is that person? And Prabhupada said, they're a cheater. They're not a teacher, they're a cheater. So Prabhupada had made this point with Bhakti Subdhamara Maharaj in the morning walk. So here is Prabhupada sitting, and there was a professor from Pepperdine, from UCLA, from USC, University of Spoiled Children. These are top universities, right? Stilson Judah was down from UC Berkeley. It was they were best and brightest in their field. And they sit down, big professors. Prabhupada sits down and asks them, So, what is your field? What are you teaching? And one man says, I teach, philosophy of religion. The other one says, whatever. They were all in the religions field, history field. So Prabhupada said, do you know God? One man says, oh no, Swamiji, that's why we came to you. So Prabhupada asked another man, do you know what the purpose of religion is? The man said, well, actually there's not a purpose, it's the journey, it's not the goal. All the nonsense things they say, And Prabhupada just took it in, and expertly, of course, he turned to Bhakti Damodar Maharaj, young man sitting there next to him, and he said, they say they are teaching, but they do not know. What do we call that? And right off the bat, he says, oh, Prabhupada, it means they're cheaters. It means they're cheaters. It was great. It was great. And then Prabhupada, like Prabhupada was neutral, Prabhupada turned to him and said, my disciple says someone who teaches and doesn't know is a cheater. Oh, then he added, he went full bore. Fools and rascals, fools and rascals. Full bore, Prabhupada said, my disciple says one who teaches but doesn't know, claims to be a professor, but they're fools and rascals, there's cheater. What to do? And the thing is, Stilson Judah broke the ice. Stilson, he opened up. He said, actually, it's true, It became like a confessional. It was so sweet. But the thing is that, anyway, I could go on and on, but they took it because Prabhupada was selfless. They could sense that Prabhupada actually cared about them. He genuinely, there was no false ego, there was no, first off, he was right. He was profoundly logical. He was right. But even more than that, they say, what is it, so much percentage of communication is nonverbal? That here was someone who actually cared about them, who actually wanted to help them, who actually saw them as they were. Could see through their veneer of their big ego and pride and all, and could see this is a bewildered, lost spirit soul. Let me try to help them find Krishna's lotus feet. And pious people responded to that. They could understand. So, a little bit about the Vaishnav heart and the benefit of humility. Now, I did want to say something else. And I'm speaking to myself. It's kind of corny or, sophomoric, but, if I'm pointing at you, the old saying is that 3 fingers are pointing back at me, So I'm definitely speaking to myself here. But we should be very careful how we deal with devotees. Well, I'll tell a story first. Naranjana Swami. You know Naranjana Swami? Such certified saintly person. I could give a whole class on the wonderful qualities of Naranjana Swami. He's very peaceful, sober, deep thinker, kind-hearted, brave, so many things. Saintly person. So somehow or other, by my grace, by Krishna's grace, my good fortune, I was sitting next to Naranjana Swami on the veranda in Mayapur. Welcome to life as a GBC, you'll see. This devotee came up and just went off on everything. He was critical, the TOVP design and the Mayapur and book distribution and the translation in the books and the temple presidents and the GBC and those sannyasis. He went off on everybody, sannyasis, brahmacharis. I was thinking, I said, the only group, the only element of ISKCON he's not offended are the cows. And then he said, and that is cow. He went off. I thought, the guy's a perfect trifecta. He's managed to offend every element of Lord Chaitanya's mission. So this guy's really going for the gold. And I apologize. I'm trying to get better, but I'm a passionate person. I was going to throttle him. I was just going to just let him have it. But by the grace of Naranjana Swami's association, I managed to control myself. And I thought, well, let me see. It was like an anthropological study. Let's see how Naranjana Swami
responds to this rascal. So the guy finally ran out of steam, after he offended everybody a couple times. He didn't offend Prabhupada, to his credit. Everybody else. So Niranjana Swami took it all in, leaned back, and said, I can understand that you are very expert at finding fault. He said, I think if you study your own heart, you will find sufficient subject matter. Think about it. Is that cool? I mean, in other words, hey, I'm so busy finding fault with everybody else. Why don't I spend time looking at my own heart? It'll keep me busy. I know my heart, the faults and shortcomings. I don't have time to worry about other people. I've got my own anarthas and improvements and things I want to do in Krishna's service. That's sufficient subject matter for me. So I thought, a way to go, such a nice answer. And Prabhupada said that Vaishnava etiquette, Vaishnava measure, Vaishnava discipline, is to be strict with ourselves and lenient with others. Now, if you have if you're the temple president or you're a GPC or a spiritual master, they say, spoil the rod, spare the child. You have to discipline. I mean, you have to correct somebody. You don't just blow on the boil. That's not a good doctor. So we're not saying some sentimental, I'm okay, you're okay. We're not saying that at all. But as far as our private, if our speaking is not our duty to help the person, it's not they're not our responsibility. Just like here, their servants are Yamaraja's responsibility. Therefore, he's reforming them. So we have a duty to reform those who are under our care. But random, this person, that person, why? Just as a sidelight for mental satisfaction, my experience is that the material nature is more than sufficient to humble everyone. Everybody, there's a verse in the Bible, and Prabhupada would sometimes quote, so it's okay. And it goes like this. It's, the wheel of justice turns slowly, but it grinds infinitely fine. I'll say it one more time. The wheel of justice turns slowly, but grinds infinitely fine. Everybody gets exactly what they, time, the material nature is going to take care of it. It's not my business to, judge everybody and straighten them out and show how I'm superior. Material nature, Krishna, that'll all take it. Let me take care of myself. What is it, Voltaire? Tend to your own garden first. Let me tend to my own garden. Okay. So, Prabhupada's story. Because, anyway, we'll tell the story. Prabhupada's story. The sun and the wind, and we'll finish after this because I want to tell the story about Mr. Prakash. You remind me. Bangalore Prakash, remind me, okay? So Prabhupada said how to deal with devotees, how to inspire them, how to, because we have a duty to be good association. We don't just take good association. We have a duty to be good association. We expect mercy, isn't it? My mind's agitated, I make some mistake. We expect the devotees to forgive us. And they should, within reason. But shouldn't we be willing to give what we expect? I'm going to say that again. We expect others to give to us. Shouldn't we be willing to give the same to them? As we expect mercy, as we expect tolerance, as we expect people to see within our heart that we're sincere, we're trying, shouldn't we give that same grace to others? Shouldn't we think, he's a devotee, he's trying, so many things. And one becomes so much happier. It's such a nicer way to live life, So, how to inspire others? Is it beating on their head? I told you 50 times, here's 52. Bang, 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 bang. Although sometimes Prabhupada says you do have to use a stick. There is, argumentum baculum or whatever Prabhupada says. But anyway, Prabhupada's story. The sun and the wind, Vayu and Surya, they were having a discussion who was stronger. Who's stronger? So they decided, okay, let's do an experiment. Let's do a field study. Okay? Scientific. So they concluded that they saw that there was a man walking along the road. Just an innocent person walking along with a coat on. And they said, okay, let's see who's stronger. Let's see who can make this man take his coat off. You got the experiment? So the wind went first. And Vayu began blowing. Cold, piercing, pounding wind. What did the man do? Did he take the coat off? Think about it. Exactly. He pulled it on tighter and so much so it blew him over. He wasn't taking that coat off, that's for sure. Next came the sun. What did the sun do? Nice warmth. What did the man do? Immediately took his coat off. No problem. So Prabhupada said, we're not talking about sentiment. Here's Yamaraj doing his duty, correcting his dependents. But as a general mood, that if we encourage, if we teach by example, if we encourage, Prabhupada says you teach the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. So if we set a good example, that's the best way to encourage people. Okay, so that's a little bit about a Vaishnav's heart. I'm speaking theoretically. May I someday have a Vaishnav's heart? These are not, Bhagavatam gets to the heart of the thing. Bhagavatam is not something that's archaic, antiquated, from a different culture, from a different time, a different ethos. No way. Bhagavatam is talking about human nature. It's talking about the nature of things as they are, as they have been, as they always will be. Suppose I have 32 64ths. So I can reduce that to 32, 16 32nds, 8 16ths, 2 fourths. But ultimately, what do they call the lowest common denominator? 1/2. It cannot be reduced any further. Bhagavatam takes human experience, everything. Sankhya Yoga takes this material world, takes everything and lays it out as it is. Breaks it down into the pure essence and lays it out as it is. There is no further understanding. There is no deeper meaning than's found in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, everything is true. So when we read about the Yamadutas, we think, well, geez, that's pretty fictitious imagination, or they have their explanations. Near-death experience, it's a lack of oxygen to the brain, it's a reaction to the pain medicine, it's, cultural neurosis or fear, paranoia, they have so many analyses. 2 stories. Mr. Prakash, but a quick one first. She lives in New Vrindavan. Her name is Gopalasya Priya. She's married to, I've forgotten the man's name, I apologize. She's there. She was a nurse in St. Joseph's Hospital. There was a time, I was doing book distribution many, many years ago. All we had was the 6th canto part 1, and on the back is the Yamadutas pulling a Jamil out, I'm telling you, in America, you try to distribute that book. You give the book to people, they turn, whoa, okay, no thanks, They had enough Christians, hellfire, brimstone. It was tough. It was, for me, a neophyte, it was a tough. Vaisheshika could, sell them like bananas, in bunches. But, so it was all we had. And our temple president told us, you've got to sell those. And it made sense. We've got to reduce the inventory. You've got to sell all those 6 ones before we can order more books. We had to sell them. So here I was, batting it away. And we're at University of Michigan, right out in front of the university. And I gave the Bhagavatam to a young lady. She turned it over. She looked at and I was, okay, this is where they hand the book back. She went white as a sheet. She was shocked, stopped in her tracks. She said, what does this book mean? And I tried to give my little neophyte. She said, no. She said, I'm a nurse at St. Joseph's Hospital. And we call this hearing the voices. She says, I work in what do they call it, critical care wing. Euphemistically, that's where they warehouse you. There's nothing they can do. Wave goodbye. You're going to die. So it's a critical So many people were dying. And amongst the nurses, it was, a shorthand language. They would say, oh, because they're always managing how many beds are there, what's opening up, how many can they take, how many, where the mortuary is. So they would say, oh, room number 8's hearing the voices. And some would say, okay, that room will be open in a couple days. Hearing the voice, because they would describe the patients on their deathbed would buzz, not everyone, but a significant number of them, that it became a regular phenomenon in the experience of the nurses. They would buzz, and they would say, oh, get them away, can't you see? And they would describe whips, dogs, teeth, long hair, we're coming for you. They would literally lose control of their bodily functions. So, there it is, modern day confirmed experience. Mr. Prakash, and we'll end here. Mr. Prakash, is this being recorded? He won't mind. South Indian Brahmin, nice man. His wife is an initiated disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. She became an initiated disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. But he was pretty dry, Mr. Prakash. He was through and through follower of Sankara, misunderstanding of impersonal Sankaracharya. And, you just couldn't juice him up. He would always you could always count. If Mr. Prakash raised his hand, it was going to be something about how impersonal understanding is better, in class. He was always criticizing the devotees, you're neophyte, you don't know this, you don't know that. He was all criticizing the devotees. His wife would bring him to the temple. She'd drag him to the temple. And he would ask some impersonal question, have some sarcasm of the devotees, and, whatever. Yeah, take prasadam, One day I got a phone call. I was the president of the temple at the time. I think I'd just taken sannyas. And I got a phone call. It was Mrs. Prakash, completely panicked. Prakash has had a heart attack. He's in a coma. He's in the hospital. You have to come right away. So, okay, I thought, well, it's our duty, right? So I went. I was reading Bhagavad Gita, so many things. The guy was flat out. They get that kind of green pallor. This guy was not coming back. At least, I've seen enough dead people. I thought, well, Haribol, see you next time around. So I didn't say that, but, So I would go every couple days, just because of Mrs. Prakash, and, it's our duty. And we'd have a little kirtan, and flat out, nothing from Mr. Prakash. The doctor told me, he said, you have to prepare them. The doctor was hard. He said, I'm a scientist. I'm a medical man. He's never recovering. He's brain dead. And you got to prepare the family. I said, well, give them a little time. He said, it'll take a miracle. And I don't believe in miracles. That's what the doctor said to me. It'll take a miracle, and I don't believe in miracles. All right, whatever. After a few weeks, phone rings. It's Mrs. Prakash. Prakash has woken up. He's back. She said, but he won't speak to anyone but you. He won't talk to us. He won't talk to the doctor. You got to come. I thought maybe he's going to put us in his will, Oh, zoom, I took off right away, He didn't. So I got there. And as soon as I walked in, he's sitting up. He's coherent. He's surrounded by his relatives, Doctor was there, nurses. He said, oh, Badri, he said, it was horrible. I said, what? He said, they came for me. I said, what? Vishnu Dutas? He said, no. He said, the bad people. No. He said, no. And then the nurse said, yes, we moved him several times. They were thinking, the household hospital staff had moved him. He said, no. So then his dimwit relatives chimed in, oh yeah, we came to see him, but he was sleeping, but we came so many times. He said, no, Mr. Prakash, no. So I said, who? I said, the Vishnu Dutas? He said, no. The bad people. So I said, okay. He said, first time they came, they said, we're coming for you. We're coming for you. Then they went away. He said, then they came again. He said, we're coming for you. We're coming for you. He said, but my wife's a devotee. My wife's a devotee. Still, according to Mr. Prakash, they came again. And Mr. Prakash, he's a South Indian Brahmin, so there's many saintly, don't get me wrong, but he has that smart side that he got a little ticked off that they kept bothering him, So he finally said, take me or leave me. I belong to Radha Giridhari. Those are our San Diego deities, Radha Giridhari. So when he said, take me or leave me, stop bothering me. Take me or leave me. I belong to Radha Giridhari. The Yamadutas went away. He woke up and he was in full consciousness. And I swear to you, if you come to the Sunday feast, you will see Mr. Prakash. He's a little dinged by the experience. He's a little slow sometimes, his movement, but his brain is there. And what will he be doing? Everyone goes inside for the kirtan. He arranges all the devotees' shoes nicely, After the Sunday feast, he's sweeping the temple floor, You ask, he raises his hand, it's going to be, how can you chant the name purely? Mr. Prakash is a changed man. So I'll end on that note, the power of the holy name and the factual existence of the Yamadutas. Okay, thank you for sitting so patiently. Hare Krishna. Glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.